Hey, what's up everyone? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you another Emo Cat Dad Listens. What is Emo Cat Dad Listens? Well, every day of 2024, I have vowed to check out a new band or artist every single day. You guys have been so kind helping me out, giving me suggestions in the comments, so please keep that up. I need the help desperately. And that's basically what this is. The video today is on a band called Polaris, who's been suggested to me by a couple different people now, so I figured I'd better get to it. So what I do is I check out 4 tracks from across the band's discography, give you my thoughts on them, give you my thoughts on the band as a whole, and rank them at the end. So going in, Polaris, I know they're a metalcore band. They've gotten pretty popular around those circles within the last couple of years. I think over the last 2 albums really is when I've heard people talk about them in such glowing fashion. But of course, Emo Cat Dad doesn't just focus on the new, he focuses on the old. So we're going to start things off with an older EP called The Guilt and the Grief. And I checked out the song Regress off that EP. So the song was pretty generic. In the middle of the song, we get a breakdown, which was cool. And then after the breakdown, it gives way to a slow down part and some clean vocals, which what made it feel less generic anyways, especially for that era. And yes, I know I'm listening to Polaris, not era. Next up, I listened to The Remedy off The Mortal Coil. This is their most streamed song on Spotify. So let's hear it. The song's pretty octaney overall, but I mean, I still dig it. It's just I get why it's got so many streams given its age and, you know, the pretty accessible sound as far as hard rock goes. I did enjoy the cleans in the chorus quite a bit. I think the singer is actually very talented. I just wish they weren't so muted. The mix really did it no favors. I think if it came out of the mix a little bit, they were still very obviously focusing on their musicianship at this point. So they wanted to make that the focal point instead of these vocals, which unfortunately are very strong, but you don't hear them as well as you would like. Alright, now let's hit those 2 most recent albums where I started really hearing a bunch of praise for this band. The first of which was The Death of Me, which came out in 2020, I believe. And I checked out Masochist. What a freaking song this was. Oh man. That chorus is sheer perfection. I would not change anything about it. Overall in the song, we get like 3 different vocal styles, from like the heavy metal vocals, the kind of hardcore shouty vocals, and of course the clean vocals. And they all work so well together, even though the melody doesn't really change throughout. It's just a pitch perfect melody that works with all these different vocal styles. I couldn't ask for much more. I understand why this band started getting buzz around this time. Alright, now let's check out the most recent album, and I checked out the song Nightmare. So the song started off, and it was pretty clear-cut metalcore. It was a hardcore kind of beat-down riff with some metal leads over top. And I was like, oh, okay, this is just going to be a straight-up metalcore song. But the chorus hit, and that hook hit, and I was like, oh, okay, this is so much more than just a generic metalcore sounding song. That being said, there was still some generic elements. The breakdown was pretty paint by numbers, I'd say, but I like that they added some vocals over top of the breakdowns. I think too often, especially in the metalcore realm, people just want to have the mosh call and then the breakdown for people to lose their minds and not do anything else. So I love the fact that Polaris added something to it, because that's what used to happen in hardcore. Overall, I think Nightmare is kind of like a Masochist light. They were trying to do a kind of heavier version of that song, and it just didn't hit as well because it just wasn't as interesting. But I'm still not changing the station if this pops up on the radio. Alright, so overall my thoughts on Polaris are they're a very strong metalcore band. In fact, they may be my favorite one I've listened to so far this year. Maybe Motionless in White still has that title, but at the very least, Polaris is maybe a close number 2, especially if they got more songs like Masochist. Guys, if you love Polaris and there's other songs that sound like that, please drop them in the comments. I definitely need to check them out, and I'm definitely going to be checking out everything this band puts out going forward. Before we duck out, though, let's rank these Polaris songs. Number 1, act surprised, it's Masochist. There was no way this wasn't being number 1 when I heard it. I thought that, the 4th song would have to be among the best metalcore songs I've ever heard to even have a shot. And it really did not. So Masochist holds the crown on top of the Polaris singles discography as far as your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad knows anyways. Number 2 is Nightmare. Of course, I said it's Masochist light, so naturally it's going to slot in right behind it. Polaris has definitely gotten better over the years, so I'm excited to see what they come up with next. Number 3, we're going back to that EP song, Regress. I enjoyed the breakdown. It was pretty generic, but it did change up a little bit in the second half and kind of built the foundation that Polaris is now standing on. And finally, The Remedy. Again, don't dislike the song at all. It's just a little too same for what I've heard before. So something had to end up at the bottom. But I enjoy all these songs. Like I said, I'm stoked to see what Polaris comes up with next. Alright guys, that's it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad on Emo Cat Dad Listens. I know I've said it a bunch, but keep hitting those comments and letting me know what other bands I should check out. I still got a lot more of these to go. Over 300. So keep those suggestions coming so that I got stuff to listen to and talk about. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for watching till the very end of this video. And please do leave those comments below. But I also need you to do one other thing for me. And that's cut my wrists and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad out. Peace, everybody.